from legal challenges, political challenges like political instability, lack of political goodwill. There is social challenges, environmental challenges, economical challenges, operational challenges, technical challenges, just to name a few. What are some of the open access challenges Africa is facing? There is technology, there is political, I've said that, there's organizational challenges, economical challenges, whether people will get value by opening, their research data for free. We have legal challenges, license issues, privacy issues, confidentiality, security issues are some of the open access challenges facing Africa. Next. What is the focus then now? We need to focus on building policies that will guide open access. Policies is very, very critical. We need to look at the infrastructure in place, training of people, skills, and embed data in our society, so to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Such a participative audience. I love you guys. Yes, it looks like your time is up, sir. But thank you for that august presentation. He talks about data being comparable to oil. Think about it. Let's stop the oil dreams and let's start chasing data and turning it into money. Next is Francisca Daffo, from political government analyst from New Media Hub. Francisca is not here? Okay. Moving on. Is Geoffrey here? Geoffrey Cataraga. Please, a round of applause for Geoffrey. Can we please pull up his presentation?
Hello, good morning, everyone. So my name is Geoffrey Katerega from OpenStreetMap Africa. So I'm here to tell you about the OpenStreetMap Africa story. So OpenStreetMap for Sustainable Development. The theme for this conference is Open Data for Sustainable Development. But how does OpenStreetMap, how is OpenStreetMap an example of sustainable development for? So OpenStreetMap is a free editable map of the world that gets contribution from people like you. So anyone can edit it, anyone can contribute, and I'm inviting everyone here to add your communities where you come from to this map. So the map has been growing from 2014 when it started. By 2017, we have over 3 million users using free open source tools to contribute to open data. So it's important also to use free open source softwares to be able to contribute open data. OpenStreetMap Africa. So we are a network of OpenStreetMap communities from all over Africa, and we are getting together. We are joining hands to try to grow this community and also learn from each other. So it's about several countries now, and we're trying also to reach out to other countries that you don't see yet on this map. And what have we been able to achieve by now? Last week in Kampala, we organized the first State of the Map Africa conference, and it was a great success. I just want to share with you some of the highlights from the conference. So this was the group photo from the first State of the Map Africa conference. So watch out for the next one. So we're able to create a continental collaboration on OpenStreetMap. We're able to establish OpenStreetMap Africa as a network of OSM communities in Africa. We're able also to showcase the possibilities of OpenStreetMap to government, to businesses, and to organizations. And also we're able to launch State of the Map Africa. So I just want to share with you some of the highlights of the conference and best examples of the use of OpenStreetMap for sustainable development in Africa. One of them is in Tanzania. Crowd2Map is an organization that is using OpenStreetMap to help girls escape FGM. So this is an issue in Tanzania, and the way the maps help is that there are safe houses that are built to help young girls escape this. And through mapping, we're able to reach them out and take them to the safe houses. The Roman Huria project in Tanzania is using community mapping for flood resilience, putting unmapped communities on the map. An example from Ghana here, the OpenSmap community is mapping bus routes, so improving the the transportation system. Youth Mappers is the other good example. This is a network of universal-led chapters that are contributing to OpenStreetMap, so developing capacity in GIS and mapping. So you can see the network is growing. The humanitarian OpenStreetMap team, this is another good example. They've used OpenStreetMap for disaster response. Remember the Ebola crisis in West Africa? So this is one of the good use cases, and they're still using OpenStreetMap in different countries in Africa. Health sites, you can contribute as well. So contributing health data, trying to identify gaps where services are not available, and trying to bridge the gap. The humanitarian data exchange is also collaborating with OpenStreetMap, bringing in data from OpenStreetMap and sharing it on a platform that is easy for everyone to access. Map Lesotho. So in Lesotho, government is using OpenStreetMap for urban planning and land management. OpenStreetMap Girls, this is about empowerment of women in technology, and you can join them. Let girls map. And lastly, Mapirally. This is a platform of crowdsourced street-level view photos, open data, but street view imagery. So join us to map each and every corner of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we've heard about OSM Mail. We've heard about Open Access Platform for Africa. We've heard about political and government, from the political and government analyst. Honestly, she wasn't able to make it here. We've heard about lead mapping and street mapping, but we have more. Isaac Mokuolu is here to talk about public procurement, the open data way. So please, with a round of applause for Isaac.
Slide, please.
Technology is like open data. When it's messing up, everybody can see. But we'll be starting shortly. Not a problem. We have some of the best experts working on it right now. They're doing some data analysis to find this presentation. Looks like it's hidden in a complex heap of. Okay, so while they are sorting that out, I just wanted you to know, for those of you who just walked in, we had an agreement as a new formed coalition against corruption in Jollof Brandon. We have agreed, since my night was crushed 2 days ago. Yes, you were there. I remember you being there. You tried to protect my image, but it didn't work. The Senegalese and the Sierra Leoneans say that we, the Ghanaians and Nigerians, have just been making a lot of noise about whose jollof is better. Meanwhile, our jollofs are bland compared to theirs. And so we agreed in this room right here with this august crowd to find a very transparent way of determining whose jollof is best and providing data and statistics to that effect. I hear there's something set up by the health booth where you can enter your data in terms of your preference. Now, there may be some Ghanaians here who may claim Ghana Jollof is the best because their friends are around, but quietly may want to vote for Niger Jollof. Please feel free, be transparent. Me, I know I like my mother's Jollof, so I won't call anyone else's. But we have a lot of people in between who've not tasted Jollof before. Can you believe that? So we will have to make arrangements to let them taste the Jollof so that they can also tell us where the Jollof is. Isaac, it looks like you're ready. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm ready. Thank you very much. Isaac, once again, I'm from Bureau of Public Procurement in Nigeria. Definitely Nigerian Jollof is one of the best in the world. Yeah, $1.8 billion. $1.8 billion. That's the amount that the government is set to use to fund 2017 budget from stolen funds. This tells us how important public procurement is in achieving sustainable development in Africa. So one of the needs or the reason why the government of Nigeria is implementing open contracting is because of the needs of the stakeholders. There are so many things going on in terms of corruption in the public expenditure. Even the civil society could no longer have access to public data in public contracting. They wanted to know, they wanted to monitor, they wanted to help achieve value for money in public expenditure. Even citizens want to know who is doing that contract in their environment. They wanted to be part of the contract. They want to have contract being delivered in the right value, right quality, and at the right time. And that was why in 2016, the government joined OGP and made, among all the commitments it made, is to also implement open contracting. And this we are doing, and we have done through co-creation with civil society organizations and the private sector to come up with what we call the open contracting, using the open contracting data standard. Now, these are the use cases. NOCOPO is the product from the co-creation between government and civil society organizations to open up information in the public procurement. Now, these are the 4 things that it focuses on. It's going to deliver enhanced publication of procurement data to every stakeholders. The academia, the citizens, the civil society organization can easily have access and engage across the cycle of public procurement to ensure that government service, are delivered at the right time and in the right value. And it's also going to help us to achieve value for money, and it will also help us to do a lot of analysis to have insight into procurement data to be able to prevent and fight corruption and fraud across the procurement cycle. And of course, in the private sector, it's going to help them to get insight into government spending and how they can engage. And lastly, the citizens will also be able to monitor service delivery, and also there's a very wonderful feedback mechanism in the open contracting portal that enables citizens and civil society to give their feedback across the whole cycle of public procurement so that government can be effective more in its oversight of public procurement to ensure effective service delivery. Now, these are the features. What's in NOCOPO? We have a user-focused open portal data Now, what we have in the data is that the data is customized based on the different stakeholders that we have mapped. We have section for civil society organizations, we have section for citizens, we have section for the private sector, we have section for the public sector. We have done through our engagement with all the stakeholders to ensure we understand their need for data and be able to publish that data and give them that data in the way they need it. And of course, we have visualizations. It has capability for data analytics, and we produce data. They will be able to extract data in machine-readable format, which is very wonderful and very useful tool for the tech world to be able to, get value from data, from procurement data that is being pushed out. And lastly, the feedback mechanism that ensures that we are not just only publishing data, we also want to ensure that citizens, civil society, the media engage with this data and give government feedback so that appropriate action can be taken to ensure effective service delivery in the country. This slide. Now, we are not just talking, the NOCOPO has been subjected to test by and it has actually won an award. It just recently won a global award that was through a competition that was jointly organized by Open Data Institute and Open Contracting Partnership. Out of 44 countries that participated, NOCOPO came the best out of the 44 countries. And this is a fantastic idea, which I think every person here would be interested in, associating with next. Now, if you are interested in ensuring that we root out corruption in public procurement, not only in Nigeria, because this project is also going to scale globally, we are adopting this project across all the states in Nigeria. We are also adopting it across, so you can join us. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. It looks like we may be copying this thing from you. It's very beautiful. But you can also come and copy how we do our jollof from us. We'll make your jollof better. Next, we have Achian. Is she here? Yes. Please, a round of applause. I can already tell from the way she's walking, she can make some superlative jollof. Can we have her presentation up, please? And ladies and gentlemen, while she's getting ready, if we could please, from the back, come forward. I know in class, in high school, we like to hide at the back. But now we're trying to get data, so let's try and come forward. Those of you who are at the back, if you could please occupy the seats in the front. Please come closer. Our presenters like to see your reactions so they know whether they are boring you or they are entertaining you. So please come forward so they can see you. Hey, when the jollof comes, those in the back, you won't get some more. Thank you, thank you. Okay.
Okay. So, good morning. My name is Achieng Akana from the Pan-African Citizens Network, and I'm here to speak about the imperative of citizen participation. So, 50. It's a number, it's not my age. It's the number of treaties and protocols that African governments have entered into amongst themselves on a whole bunch of issues, from gender equality to phytosanitation. 28 of those they've entered since 2000, when the OAU, and I'm sure some of you in this room are old enough to remember the OAU, transformed itself into an African Union, a new spruced-up structure designed to crystallize political values and provide a more humane outlook in addressing Africa's pressing governance and developmental challenges. Out of these, 18 of the treaties focus on issues of democracy, good governance, human and people's rights, peace and security, the fight against impunity, and/or citizens' participation. In addition to that, we have hundreds of policy instruments, decisions, declarations, all of which have precedential value. My question is, did you know this? I can see from some of the blank looks in the room that kind of means no. and that is problematic. But if your answer was yes, that is even more problematic because, like me, you have not been able to do much about it, given the dismal less than 10% implementation rate of all these instruments. So my question is, why is citizen participation important? Next slide. Why is it important for us to participate? Because without our participation, all we'll ever get is a dismal 10%. As long as our governments, next slide, remain accountable to European Union and other funders, they will ever only have to do checkbox accountability. We bought 5 pens, 6 laptops, 8 vehicles, 2 trips, and here are your receipts. It is only when we as citizens hold them accountable that that we can begin to demand substantive impact. That is why citizen-led accountability is imperative. It is why the African Union has, It is why the African Union has a strong normative basis for civic participation through a number of key legal instruments and policy institutional frameworks, and has undertaken to design, promote, and implement programs to strengthen the importance and participation of civil society. One of the key policy documents that sets out the priorities for Africa for the next 50 years, I think it's now maybe about 47, and sets out the Continental Integration Agenda and Program of Action, commonly referred to as Agenda 2063, outlines its 6th aspiration as an Africa whose development is people-driven, relying on the potential of African people, especially its women and youth. They know they can't do this without us. But we all needn't struggle to get to Addis Ababa with and I can assure you with the current visa restrictions to get to Ethiopia, it is quite a struggle. Because the decisions made at regional and continental levels are pre-made at national level. Implementation of these policies and decisions also happens at national level. We must begin at the very least by holding our governments accountable for the resources utilized to sustain continental and regional institutions in the form of member state contributions, or even just for the travel to summits. Governments attend a number of these per year, not to mention the ministerial and other consultative meetings in between. So next time your government comes back on our equivalent of Air Force One, please ask them, what have you brought back for me, your citizen? Wait, I know what you're thinking. Yes, of course there are challenges. Yes, of course we need to draw a realistic picture of what true citizen participation looks like and how we deal with issues of power, marginalization, exclusion, and representation. But one thing remains true. The quality of laws, institutions, mechanisms, and results that we get as Africans, be it at national, regional, or continental levels, will always be in direct proportion to the quantity and quality of African.
Moving from checkbox accountability to citizen-driven accountability. I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, next we have from the engine room, Nonso G. Diouf. Juf. Oh, we can do better than that. Thank you. I mean, this man is direct from the engine room, where things happen.
For the record, there is a GDP analysis report in Nigeria that is based on the Jollof Index. So my brave idea this morning is to actually leave you with a question. As a funder, how are you justifying value for money for the investments that you're making? If you are a social change agent in this room, civil society and media, how are you ensuring that your activities don't end up as a checklist? And if you are government, how do you ensure, or are you sure, actually, that this isn't just another conversation that you're having with citizens that isn't actually addressing real problems? And with that, my name is Nonso Jidelfo. I work at the Engine Room as the regional lead for Sub-Saharan Africa. At the Engine Room, we support civil society organizations and social change agents in general to use data, technology, and strategy to improve their impact. Okay, yeah. So personally, I have experience using design research, human-centered design, and institutional analysis in improving transparency and accountability projects. And in that experience, I have found that there are two elements around open data projects that pose a sequencing challenge. So which comes first? The first is definitions. And then the other element is tensions. We tend to gravitate towards the tensions because it is the more exciting space to get into. It is a space where you feel the power of open data. But the question I have for you is it useful? It is powerful, quite all right, but is it useful? And in trying to answer the question of utility, it brings you back to the question of definitions. How are you defining things? And there are two of my favorite definitions that I like to have. One is definition of problems, and the other is definition of users. Who are you designing for? Who is the tool for? Who are you opening up data for? And are you addressing a problem at the root cause? At what level or how deep are you going to addressing the real problem? You are not just generating activities. But yeah, beyond the point of definition, you then move on to the tensions, right? And like I said earlier on, we tend to gravitate towards the tensions because that is where the conversation around the type of technology you're going to use happens, the profile of the data that you're going to release, the size of the resource that you have at your disposal. But for you to be able to always identify the sweet spot between these three variables of the second element, you need to be anchored with definitions. That is what helps you ensure that the turbulence in the tensions don't just carry you away. You're not seeing open data as an end in itself. I'd like to tell you two quick accounts of where the Engine Room has both helped to clarify definitions and also manage tensions. Working with the Institute of Public Policy Research in Namibia, they came to us wanting to map oil transparency data. Basically, they wanted to be able to release data around oil exploration licenses. And the conversation we started with was wanting to compile, digitize, and visualize data. We helped them to achieve that. But upon deeper interrogations, it came to bear that more critical to this conversation was an advocacy strategy. The second story I'd like to tell you is working with Code for Sierra Leone in Freetown, precisely. They were in the process of opening up water points data. The data already existed, and they wanted to put it on a portal, and they had done that. Engaging us was to help them see how this data can, through mobile phones, get to the hands of citizens so they can quickly identify functional water points, but also be able to report on dysfunctional ones. In discussing with us, we found out that this data that was already open had greater value for the institutions that were behind water services in Freetown and Sierra Leone in general. And starting from that probably was like a better idea to get off the ground with. I'll leave you with a quote from Paul Zizik. I met him here yesterday, and he gave me this quote yesterday. There is a lot of open data. I don't know if that resonates. There is a lot of open data. And to that quote, I'm going to add, personally, I don't agree that skills or more skills is what we need. So if you find yourself at the intersection of thinking about definitions or the tensions, please feel free to reach out to the Engine Room. Thank you.
I wonder if he intentionally used the definition intention because they rhyme, or if that really was the intention. We'll find out later. You know, I was looking at my agenda, my showrunner had put on the word END. And so I was about to invite END when I realized that actually what he's trying to say to me is, this section has ended. That's what happens when you don't have standardization across data. Data is recognized in a different format and we start making noise like Niger Jollof is better than Ghana Jollof. When really maybe what the data said was Ghana Jollof is ultimate. Next, we're going to have another fascinating part of the program. But this time, I'm going to give the speakers the opportunity to tell you why you need to be at their workshop. And so I'm going to invite some amazing people up here. And if you hear your name, please come up, have a seat. And in 2 minutes, you're going to tell this august audience why they should tune into your workshop as opposed to any other workshop. So, the workshop leads Kofi Asare from Ghana Space Science and Technology Institute. Reed Porter, Interaction and Initiative for Open AG Funding. Myself. Amos Wusa from Farmerline. Paul Mungang, University of Cape Town, and Dorothy Gordon. Please, if you could join me up on the stage. Oh, no round of applause for them. Thank you. And please give a round of applause to yourself. You've been such an amazing audience. Very interactive, very transparent. Is that everybody? Do we have Kofi here? Kofi Asare? Do we have Reed Porter? Okay. Amos here? Paul? And of course, Madame Dorothy Gordon. Awesome. So we're going to give everybody 2 minutes, same format. In 2 minutes, we all clap. I should start at the other, no problem. Okay, so 2 minutes each for them to tell you what their workshop is about and why you absolutely cannot miss it. Let's start from Kat.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Testing. Okay, technology. It works for us. So Africa Open Data Collaborative's Africa Open Data Conference has gathered so many wonderful people together that there are multiple side meetings today. So there is an AGRIC meeting happening off-site. There is an exclusive Africa Open Data Network that's happening upstairs. And then the Follow the Money team also asked me to extend an invite to you all. They are running a full-day training and workshop on how to actually track open budgets in government. So you've heard quite a few people talk about that earlier this morning. So they do have a few slots left in their room, I think about 10. So if anybody is really interested in transparency and budget and learning how that process works, you're invited to join them in room 215.
My name is Amos Wusa. I'm with Farmerline. My session is Smart Agriculture. We are looking at, there are a lot of technologies which big corporations and big commercial farms are employing. But most of African farmers are smallholder farmers with less than a hectare. How do we take these technologies and apply it to these farms and make meaning out of these data to help the farmers improve their productivity? The workshop is being organized by Farmer Line and Manchester University. We will have one of my colleagues, software engineer Pascal Adumakun, who is interested in using drone technology, which mostly is being applied to commercial farms. How do we apply it to smallholder farms? We are also looking at fish farm water management. How do we determine the quality of the water to be able to improve the fish farming activities? These are just examples, but in general, we'll be looking at how do we take these technologies to apply to smallholder farmers, and what are the challenges, and what will be the key areas we would need to be focusing on. Thank you. My meeting room is room 2.
Thank you. I'm Kofi Asare from Ghana Space Science and Technology Institute, and we are organizing a special session for you all in collaboration with the Ghana Meteorological Agency and International Research Institute for Climate and Society. Africa depends strongly and directly on climate data, particularly rainfall, than any other region on Earth. Yet, Africa uses less rainfall data in its planning and decision making. And that is why we are organizing this session. There is an open platform where you can access weather and climate information across the region. We have examples. It's a Pan-African session with examples from Tanzania, Ghana, Mali, Kenya, and all other countries. With climate and weather data on a platform, you can access it irrespective of time, irrespective of your location across the globe. We want to invite you to join us in room number 220. Come, let us take you through simple steps so that you can also, without any difficulty, access this information and make use of them. This valuable asset is online and is accessible to all, but it will only serve its purpose when users are able to access it, exploit it, and make use of it in their planning and decision making. Don't miss this session because it will be relevant to your sector and for your decision making. Thank you.
My name is Paul Mungai. I'll be running the data walking session. It's going to be a very interesting session where we find new ways of public participation. A lot of data, it's a new way of trying to generate data from the ground up. And one example I can give is if we were to walk outside any street, like either to the right or to the left, and we have a group consisting of people from different fields. So if you have an architect, if an architect is walking, the kinds of observations they will make from that walk is very different from someone who's done biology, because the objects that are of interest to them are very different. So that is the kind of engagement that we'll be having. And so a group of people can come together and then look at a certain region and then try to see what is useful out of this particular space and what meanings can we derive from that. And then out of that, create stories. And the most important thing is that these stories can actually be used for decision making, because people, even transport, when you think about transport, there are very many aspects that we do not factor in. Yeah, like now if you were to go to a bus stop, there are very many things that might be, we might ignore, but they are symbols of, that have meaning that we might need to debunk. Yeah, thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Reed Porter. I work with Interaction in the US and I lead the initiative for open agriculture funding. Today I'm going to be joined by colleagues from Publish What You Fund, UNDP, ACVO, and if schedules allow, representatives from the government of Ghana. And we're going to be talking about how to use data on development resources for mass collaboration. And what we mean by mass collaboration is not just using open data for transparency purposes, accountability, data analysis, but actually trying to learn from one another, to plan projects, and to coordinate with development actors around the globe. The question we like to ask is who is doing what, where, and what are they achieving? So to answer that question, we're going to start out with a brief introduction to AODC, the International Aid Transparency Initiative, as a potential source of this data, for those who are familiar or unfamiliar. Then we're going to move into an exercise where we attempt to map and situate EODI data amongst other global resources of data, as well as data that's produced and captured by national governments and local governments. So lots of different perspectives need to be brought to bear to really get a sense of what's out there, and that's where we could use your help. Yeah, and I don't have an opinion on African jollof rice, but my Cajun mother-in-law, Louisiana, makes pretty good jambalaya, so I'm going to vote for her.
Thanks. My name is Dorothy Gordon, and I'm on the Free Software and Open Source Foundation for Africa Council, which is organizing the session on open source is awesome and exploring the similarities and the differences in open source and open data. There's a lot of tension there. We're going to look at the tools that can help us to exploit the open movement for development. So we'll be looking at different open source tools that those who are enthusiastic about open data can use. We'll be looking at some of the skill programs that exist. We have a colleague from Togo who will be introducing to you extensive work which FOSFA has done on how to make open source and open data work for you in terms of different business models. So it's going to be a very exciting session. It's being organized by FOSFA, by the Linux user group here in Accra, with our representatives from Togo and Nigeria joining us. So I do hope that all of you will come, because open data is part of the open movement. And sometimes as we implement open data, we are not fulfilling the, how could I say, the values that lie behind the open movement. So I hope that all of us will get behind this and we'll enjoy this session which explores that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You want to say something again? Hey, Massa, I gave you 2 minutes to. He's coming to your session? Okay. Room one, so her session is in room 1? And his session is in room 2. I get to make a pitch too, because apparently I'm running one of these workshops. And as you can guess, my pitch or my workshop, you know, all these different sessions are great sessions. But the thing is, if they do not effectively present them to you, then you will walk away forgetting half the things that they say. And it's the same with any of your presentations. Everybody here has great ideas. But if those ideas cannot be sold, if those ideas are not presented in a form that it's quietly understood, then people sit down and it becomes another talk show. So come to my workshop and come and learn how to be an effective public speaker, how to effectively give presentations that ensure that the audience walks away with memorable ideas, action-oriented ideas, and ideas that can be implemented. That's what my workshop is about, and it's happening right here. Thank you very much. So we're going to break out, yes. We're going to break out into the sessions here. You heard the rooms. I hope you all stay here, but if you don't, thank you. So after the session, please, we meet back here after the coffee break for further instructions. So after the sessions, we meet back here after coffee break for further instructions. I just want to copy the because he wasn't ready. He just can't talk. Yeah, because he wasn't here. He just can't talk. I think he just walked. But we'll do him in the next round.
Sí.